Rose McGowan has gone from a witch on the small screen to a warrior on the silver screen. But her biggest role now is finding a cure for pulmonary fibrosis, a disease that took the life of her father. With no known cause and no cure, Rose McGowan is now an ambassador for the Coalition for Pulmonary Fibrosis, raising awareness worldwide.
Please give a warm welcome to Rose McGowan. So Rose, I'm so glad you're here, because what people need to understand is with pulmonary fibrosis, it is an evolving illness. Think of it as, I've got an example here for people. You know, normally when you breathe, your lungs are compliant, much like this sponge. You know, air comes in, air comes out, air is exchanged, no problem. With pulmonary fibrosis, your lung, the tissue actually gets scarred and becomes fibrotic. And like this sponge, you see that? It's hard and scarred down. And so oxygenation and exchanging air when you breathe becomes very difficult. So people with pulmonary fibrosis will have worsening shortness of breath, fatigue, a dry cough. And it's tough because I'm assuming that your dad didn't have any idea what was going on.
He had no idea what was going on. He was told he had pneumonia. It's something that's not diagnosed often until later on in the disease because, again, people, even doctors, so many of them haven't heard of it. And it kills more than 40,000 people a year, which is more than breast cancer.
When people have lived 59 years and been healthy and never had lung problems, it's not normal for your dad to go through what he went through.
Correct. Watching my dad suffer, and he was cold all the time. He could never get warm. The oxygen wouldn't go to his hands and his feet. His legs would swell. It's just you're watching somebody who's, every time they breathe, their lungs scar, so it gets harder and harder to get any air. You're watching somebody essentially suffocate to death. It's a brutal disease, and thank you so much for calling attention to it and spending time talking about it.
Well, it's because it's something that if our viewers are aware of it and they have a loved one who's otherwise healthy and develops issues like this over time, and again, we're talking about if you're someone who has been healthy and then over time breathing gets more and more difficult, you're more and more fatigued, and you have a cough that's unexplained, that's not normal. If you look at these CT scans side by side, you can look on that left side there, that's someone with early pulmonary fibrosis. You want your lungs on a CT scan to be essentially dark like that, because that's air spaces. On the right side, with advanced, you see all that white, that's scarring of the lung tissue itself. And that is what causes this difficulty with oxygen exchange. Problem is, even for doctors, without doing imaging like that, it's tough to make the diagnosis. And so the more people that are aware of it, the better. And so you've made this your mission.
I have. I am working with the Coalition for Pulmonary Fibrosis, and I'm one of the chair people, the Daughters for Pulmonary Fibrosis. And if you go on their website, there's information, there's statistics. And also, I just want to say that I have all these different followers on Twitter, and a 21-year-old girl was diagnosed with it the other day. It's not just older people.
We just thank you so very much for what you're doing, Rose.
Appreciate it.
And,
thank you for having me.
Best of luck in your mission to raise awareness about pulmonary fibrosis. And of course, you can learn more about this illness and also how you can get involved at our website at doctorstv.com.